love? That is a question that has been asked for centuries, and I'm sure will continue to be asked for centuries. Different philosophers have their different definitions. The Greeks had several different definitions for love. And what I've found is that they've kind of split love into multiple different categories. Love for your friends, love for your family, romantic love. The Greeks kind of created this separation of all the different types of love, but I don't think it's as complicated as they've made it out to be. I think at the heart of it all, love is the desire for good things to happen, and it is the joy felt when around a person, place, or thing. And for all intents and purposes, that's how I'm going to define love throughout this video. So now that we've kind of defined love, what is radical love and what makes it so radical? Radical love, to me, is love mixed with hope, patience, and understanding. Behind radical love is the power and desire to love despite the odds, to show your love, to feel that love. Radical love is not to be confused with toxic positivity, though I could see how they would be confused. Toxic positivity focuses on taking your emotions and pushing them away, or pushing them down, or bottling them up in favor of pretending things are all right. And that is not what radical love is. In radical love, you are taking ownership of your feelings. You are saying, yes, this thing that is happening to me right now, this hurts. I'm feeling these feelings, but I have hope that tomorrow will be a new day. That, you know, in an hour, in several hours, everything will kind of return to normal in a way. It is not allowing your emotions to control you, but rather controlling your emotions so that you can better understand them. A lot of the ideas that are tied in with radical love surround cruelty. And it's the idea that you can be, it's the idea that just because somebody harms you does not mean you have the right to harm others. Just because somebody is cruel to you does not mean you are going to therefore be cruel to other people. Radical love is taking the feelings that you feel, taking the things that have happened to you, and saying, I feel hurt, I feel upset by these things, but I'm not going to take it out on others. I'm going to find a different way to take these emotions, to kind of express these emotions, so that I can continue on enjoying my life and showing love to others and showing love to myself. So the reason I have kind of started on this journey of radical love was through a documentary I had watched last fall. The documentary is called Rocket Ship by director Jonathan Kwam, and it is phenomenal. If you ever get a chance to see it, I would highly recommend it, because it is, like, I was crying at the showing. It was so good. But in this documentary, it tells the story of a man named Rocket, who is somebody I would say exemplifies radical love to the highest degree. Rocket has been treated very cruelly by the world, and despite that, despite all of the trauma and all of the hardships that Rocket faces, he still chooses to be kind to others. He feeds the birds despite not needing to. He feeds his neighbors, the people around him, despite not having a lot, if any, excess income. He actively decides that he wants to help the world around him, because what's the point of doing anything else? What's the point of bringing more hatred and more hurt into the world? It's so good. It's such a phenomenal documentary, but it really inspired me to relook at the way that I perceive things, and I perceive my emotions, and I perceive the people around me. Before I watched that documentary, I realized that I would often boil people down to their most basic parts, kind of. But in doing that, I was, in a way, dehumanizing them, and I was not giving them a fair chance to change or grow. And that's not fair. That's not fair to anyone. And so, through watching this documentary, I learned that despite how I see people, they are still worthy of kindness, of humanity. Even awful people, even the worst people, they are allowed a certain humanity. They are allowed a certain kindness. I'm not saying that if somebody is to harm you, it is your job to be kind to them. But what I am saying is, we are the choices we make. Radical love is radical because it is so difficult, because it is an active choice. Love is passive. You don't have to do anything to feel love or to love someone. But to radically love someone, so much, that is radical. To love someone so much that you are willing to say, you may have treated me cruelly, but I am going to turn the other cheek. I am going to be better. And maybe from that you will learn something, but I am not going to bring myself down to your level just to get some instant gratification. A YouTuber I watched, she said it best in one of her videos: you will never regret taking the high ground. You will never regret taking the high ground. And so if you've made it this far into the video, you're probably asking yourself, how do I practice radical love? How do I kind of add this practice into my life? And I think the first step, before you can do any practical things, the first step is realizing and understanding that anger is a secondary emotion. When you're feeling your feelings, anger is not going to be the first thing that comes up. It is almost always stemmed from something else. Whether that is fear, whether that is confusion, whether that is frustration, anger is not your first reaction. So once you realize that, and you kind of understand that, you are then able to take ownership of that anger and be like, okay, I know I'm feeling angry. I know that right now, this is what anger feels like. What is causing this? What is at the root of this? And then from there, you can kind of untangle that web and better use it. And so in doing that, some of the more practical tips that I have for practicing radical love are keeping journals. And I highly recommend you keep at least 2 types of journals. One is for all of the good things in life, whether that is good news, whether that is gratitude, that is a photo book of all the things that make you happy, a box of all the things that make you happy, or things that represent the things that make you happy. Keep an archive of all the good things in life, so that on those bad days, on those days where you are feeling that anger, where you are feeling that kind of hatred seep in, you can go back and look through and be like, okay, this is a blip in my life. I'm gonna get over this. I'm gonna do good things. Things are gonna get better. Things are gonna get so much better. And so you need to have that journal of just wonderful things. And gratitude is always a good thing to keep track of. I've found that gratitude can really, not only can it make you happier, but it can teach you a lot about the mindset that you were in when you were writing it. I know one time when I was looking through my old gratitude journal, one of my entries was, "Today I'm grateful for a comfy blanket." I'm grateful to just have a warm, comfy blanket. And I think in that moment there was a lot going on. There was a lot in my life going on, and what I was most grateful was something so simple. Something that was like something that you may take for granted, but in that moment it brought me a lot of comfort, and I was really happy to have it. The other type of journal that you should keep is a vent journal. You're gonna get mad. You're gonna get upset. You're gonna feel all of these negative emotions. That's human. That's what is supposed to happen. But you don't want to just push it away or bury it or bottle it up, because that does not fix the problem. When you are feeling angry, write it down. Draw it out. Whatever you gotta do. Just take a notebook, scribble some stuff down, and get it out of here, out here, into the real world. Having that vent journal is really good to just express those negative emotions healthily. Because when you have a vent journal, it then stops you from venting or like blowing up at someone you love or someone you care about, or like even strangers. It lets you take ownership of those emotions, and then later, when you're calm, when you're happy, you can kind of look back through that vent journal and be like, okay, I better understand what was happening in that situation, and this is how I can prevent it in the next. And just being able to reflect on that is really good. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your spiritual health. It's good for love. It's good for radical love. Another practical thing that you can do is just to start practicing self-love. Whether that is like you wake up in the morning, you pop in your headphones, your earbuds, you pop on your headphones and you listen to affirmations the first thing you do when you wake up. Or it's unfollowing all of the accounts that make you feel bad whenever you're scrolling on Instagram. Or it's taking a day to just kind of rest and to just kind of exist. All of those are valid forms of self-care, and there are so many other ways to care for yourself. But by practicing self-care, you are inherently practicing self-love, because you are saying, I deserve to be cared for. I deserve to have a really good well-being. And by practicing really good self-love, you're able to better practice radical love. By understanding that you are deserving of the same humanity and kindness that others are deserving of, you're better able to kind of transfer that out. And you are also better able to set boundaries with people who would much rather practice radical hate than radical love. You are better able to say, hey, what you are saying is hurting me. I'm not going to tolerate it because I don't deserve that. And so practicing self-love is just another kind of way to practice radical love. At the end of the day, the best way to practice radical love is just by doing it. It's by being kind to a stranger, by volunteering at literally anywhere, a soup kitchen, a homeless shelter. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. And I'm not saying that I'm the best at radical love and you should take what I have as gospel, because I just started practicing, and even then, it's hard. It's a hard thing to radically love people who make you really, really mad. But in the end, it's worth it. It's worth having that joy and that kind of attitude, because eventually the negativity just kind of rolls off your back, and you're able to better appreciate the things you love.